Okay, so this is Carrie Gerald, and I'm here with Amelia Sloan, and we are interviewing Carl Crabtree at Valley Local High Schools on June 13th at 12:01 p.m. And we're here to discuss your childhood and life in Lucasville, Ohio. So, what was it like growing up in Lucasville?
In Lucasville,
In
there was
Lucasville.
nothing here.
There was?
They, when I was young, growing up, you didn't go to grocery stores.
Really?
You raised your food, and if you had a job, you made 20 cents an hour. I, I did graduate from Valley in '54, and I've been on the school board 51 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the time you put into Lucasville. So, do you remember anything specific from Lucasville that you always enjoyed doing? Like just specifically here growing up?
Playing ball. that was nice.
Yeah.
Playing ball.
How long did you play it? And what
Till I was
sports?
47 years old.
Really?
Yeah, I,
So you loved it. So you said you graduated from Valley in what year?
54.
54. So then where was the high school when you
That was
graduated?
down on 23. That was the old high school.
Yeah. Who was your favorite teacher? Do you remember it?
Well, if I had one, I had a fellow by the name of Dave Long. There was many of us that when we was in fifth grade, they sent us up to the grade school, and he was a principal, and he was also my homeroom teacher. And I dearly loved that man. And of course, he was a baseball person.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Hmm.
So then, out of high school, do you remember your first job?
When I got out of school,
Yeah, or even when you were in school. Did you have a job?
no, I played ball all the time.
Yeah. So what was your first job out of school?
I graduated on a Sunday and went to work at a filling gas station in Wakefield for 20 cents an hour.
Really?
And I didn't drive, didn't have a car, so I walked 3 miles to work, 3 miles after, and I worked from 8 to 8 for 20 cents an hour. And
Really?
enjoyed it.
Good. Did you make a lot of friends talking to people at the
Oh,
gas
definitely,
station?
definitely.
That's good. So then, after a while, let's talk about your family. So did you get married? When did you get married?
Well, first in August of '56, or in February of '55, I got a job at the mill, and that paid $1.50 an hour. That was big money.
Yeah.
Then in August of '56, I had a baseball tryout with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and also I got married in August of '56 and had an army examination in '56.
Really?
That was a busy week.
Yeah, I bet. So then you got married. Did you have any kids?
Had 4. Had 2 boys, 2 girls. Benjamin was the oldest. Donna was the first girl. She was second. Jason has a Cadbury carpet store over here. He was the third one, and Julie, my youngest daughter, was the fourth one.
So they kept your hands full, didn't they?
Well, their dad worked shift work, so they had a maid.
Yeah. So then, I'm assuming you have some grandchildren. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Got 9 grandkids, 7 grandsons, 2 granddaughters, and all of them went to college, and they've all got at least 1 degree out of college.
That's
Some of them 3.
amazing. That's some good work ethics you've instilled in your kids. They put in their kids too.
Yeah.
So then, you've worked a lot with youth programs. Like our baseball fields are named after you. How does that feel?
One over in Lucasville.
Yeah.
But it's about a thing of the past because we built a new ones out here by the high school.
Yeah.
Above the high school.
So that baseball is really important in your life.
Well, it had to be because my mom was a Crabtree, lived around McDermott area. My dad was a Crabtree from Mechanicsburg High, so I'm a full stock Crabtree.
Yeah. So then, also in baseball, you have a relative who played in the major leagues.
Estel, that was my cousin.
Yeah.
That
That's
was-
really cool. Did you go to any of his games or?
Yes, in '43. I got to see the last game. The Dodgers, Branch Rickey signed him, and I was in minor league. Him and the outfielder run together, and Esther lost a kidney. And so he stayed out. Well, in '43, the war was going on. The ball players, a lot of them weren't drafted. So St. Louis told the Reds if they could get Estelle to sign, go ahead and sign him. He signed, played 1 year, hit .343, had a heck of a year, and then he gave it up and went into, he was a postmaster at Nelsonville, Ohio.
Isn't that crazy? That's cool. You at least got to see a game. And then I want to talk a little bit about Valley Schools. We're going to change the subject a little bit. And you have served consecutively over 50 years on the school board.
51 years.
Yes. I mean, that's a lot of service for our community. How has that changed over time? From the beginning to what it is now?
Since then,
yeah.
Well, when I went on the board, we had probably about two old buildings, and one at Glendale, and about 15 acres of ground. Today, we got practically 3 new buildings, which is 25 years old, and better than 200 acres of ground.
That's amazing.
So it's been a big change.
Yeah. What do you love most about being on the school board?
What do I enjoy most?
Yeah.
It keeps you busy. It keeps you acquainted with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I was telling Mark a while ago, I made a few enemies and I made a few friends, so we're even.
Yeah. That's okay. So then I've also heard you have some pretty good attendance.
Have what?
You have pretty good attendance. You've only missed 4 in the past, what, was it 25 years?
I missed 4
27?
board meetings in 51 years.
In 51. Oh, and you had perfect attendance then for the past, how many years?
Since 25.
That's crazy.
Since I retired. I retired from the mill in
Yeah.
94, and I haven't missed a board meeting since then. But about missed graduation Sunday in the back.
That's okay. So then you're also chosen as an honorary mayor for the Lucasville Bicentennial. So can you tell me a little bit about what that means to you to be chosen?
The only thing I can tell you about that is what people told me on the Facebook. None of the committee people's talked to me yet.
So then, since we are celebrating the Bicentennial, can I ask you what you remember from the Sesquicentennial in '69?
69.
Mm-hmm.
We had a good turnout. And we had a lot of good meetings. And again, we had a lot of people from outside the area come in. So, yeah, they're very interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah. Do you remember anything like that stands out to you from the Sesquicentennial that like was your favorite thing about it?
No, not really. There were so many things. I just didn't pick out one. But
Yeah.
it was an enjoyable time, really.
That's good. Are you excited for the Bicentennial events this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool how they're connecting the community with this.
Yeah.
You said it brings a lot of attention to Lucasville. And then I also have some questions about your life. So then here's a couple. This is a big question about Lucasville. If you could make one improvement to Lucasville, what do you think it would be? That's a big question, yeah.
That's a big question.
Yeah.
Well, there again, I've been on the board 51 years. I've worked with Little League Baseball for 36 years, and I made friends through that. But the one big thing is probably when I never give it a thought.
Yeah.
I've been in Lucasville all my life, or 3 miles north of Lucasville, but I've seen a lot of things happen in Lucasville.
Yeah. What was the biggest thing you've seen like change in Lucasville?
Well, probably one of the biggest and enjoyable things since I've been on the board, I've followed very close. Valley is one of the top schools in the state to have kids that go from college and come out with a degree. A lot of kids that go to college and then they drop out for some reason or other. And Valley is right at the top of the state when it comes to percentage of kids getting a degree after getting out of the Valley School District.
Yeah.
So that's probably the most enjoyable thing to me.
Yeah.
And I follow it every year or every 2 years. I keep track of it.
Yeah. So Amelia and I are actually going to be seniors this year. and at Valley, and we were wondering if you had actually any advice for the senior class this year. We've got some high standards to go to get that degree and keep up. Do you have
Well,
any?
further their education and get them a job and stay clean.
Yeah. It's
That
very
is
important.
that is the important thing in life. I know a couple of kids lost their mom a couple of weeks ago with just an overdose. You know, just it's crazy. It's just there's no sense in it, but they still do it.
Yeah. I know around our area, not just in Lucasville, but we do suffer from the opioid addiction, and I think it's good that we're making a difference. We're changing how people look at us down here. It's really good. How do you feel about that? How we're
Well,
changing that?
Actually, I've been in past. I had one brother was 17 years older than me. I had 8 sisters, so I was born over the girls. So,
Really?
but I really enjoyed working with young people all the way through. That's why I got started in Little League Baseball, and that's what I thought about it. I try to attend all the school activities. Sometimes it's hard, but I attend most of them because of the kids.
Yeah.
And hoping that somebody can set an example for them.
Yeah. I think you've done an amazing job of setting an example.
Well, I've never been a smoker, and I've never been a drinker, and I just think the kids they have to have something to look up to, or they're going to slide by the wayside.
Yeah.
And it's very easy.
Now, did you have someone who did that for you when you were growing
My
up?
mom and dad, they was very strict.
Yeah.
They was very strict.
How was your childhood with them? Do you remember anything?
Great.
Yeah. And you said you had a lot of siblings?
Everybody worked, and then you got along, and you don't, just like now the politicians, the only thing they think about is fighting. Years ago, whoever your president was, everybody respected him. Today, nobody respects him. You know, and there are a lot of the problem is their own problem. So,
Yeah.
but I was born in the Lucasville area, and I'm going to stay in the Lucasville area. I've been different places, and there's no place like Lucasville.
Yeah. It's just home, I think. Everyone around here feels the same way.
Well, you do, you know. Well, I've got the nine grandkids and 14 great grandkids, and all of them live within 3 miles of me.
Really? You got a close-knit family then.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So, I think we've answered a lot of questions pretty fast, but we can still ask. We can kind of go back to your childhood. This is kind of a fun one. Who was your best friend when you were growing up in school? Did you guys stay friends or?
Yeah, the boy by the name of John Johnson, and we was in the same grade, and he got Alzheimer's now, but we still associate with each other
Yeah.
after all those years.
I bet that's cool to know that you still got someone from back in school. And then, actually, I think this is a cool question because school people are really surprised by how small our graduating classes are. How big was your graduating class when you
My
graduated?
graduating class was one of the largest for a while. It was 66, but 3 of them had people who quit school, went to service, and come back out of service and graduated with us. So,
Well, that's cool.
and then it went up to 119. So we've had some large classes, but we're not a very big area. You know, like Northwest, they're the 2nd largest square mile in the state. And then they had opened up this open enrollment. The first year they opened up enrollment, we got 49 kids from Portsmouth out here. We got
Really?
48 kids from Clay out here. So there was about 3 or 4 years there. Our enrollment was I think probably the largest class that I can remember was 89. There was 119, and then one boy died just before graduation, but he still got his diploma. So the 119 has probably been the largest class that I know of graduated from Valley.
Really? That's a lot of students.
Yeah,
And what building would that have been in 89?
where the middle school is at now.
Really?
Yeah. We voted tax levy in 90, and Believe me, you couldn't pass a tax levy in this school district. In '75, we asked for operating tax, and we put it on the ballot 5 times before it passed.
Really?
Well, in '90, I was scared to death it never passed to get the new schools. It passed set a state record, 96.5%. It passed that much.
Wow.
So we started opening up on April the 10th, and they had the prison riot. So we let the prisoner people have it for a week and a half. And then the first year we moved it in high school here. We sent the 8th grade back over to Lucasville on 23 and renovated that building. So that building's been renovated 25 years ago. These two here have been here 26,
Right.
and they look like new.
They do.
They really taken care of them. Especially a bunch of little kids, you know, you think. But I went through the middle school one week, and the only thing I seen all the way down every hallway was one kid left his locker door open. And that locker door was standing open. Now I come back down, I shut it, and come back down. I told the principal, I said, one little boy forgot to shut his locker door. I said, didn't have a lock, so I shut it. And he said, I probably know who it was. Well, a couple of days later, we got a hold of him. He told me that, and called that boy in and said, this is the guy who had shut your locker door. We don't want that to happen anymore. Well, it so happened there was a boy who lived about 4 or 5 houses up the road from me.
Well, that's cool. We take pride in our schools. I think we have probably one of the prettiest schools around here.
Yeah.
Our courts, our fields, we just got a nice area.
We bought the 26 acres, and that's where the softball and the baseball field's at. And this here was 140 acres, and at the middle school was about 10 acres more than what there is, but we sold it to a fellow by the name of John Reinhardt, and he built some houses over there. So there's about 31 acres over there. So there's right at 200 acres altogether.
Yeah. We've got someone was talking to me about how the bypass, you've got a pretty cool view of the school when you drive by.
Yeah, it makes a difference, but you know, everybody has different ideas, and then I can get here to Wheelersburg 13 minutes quicker than I ever did in my life.
Yeah.
Driving normal speed, but it's good, I guess.
Yeah.
It's there. Can't tear it down.
Yeah, I think it brings attention to our school. I like it.
It does. A lot of people, you see people pull over and take pictures of it. It's something different, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I would have been the last person that ever lived ever thought there'd be a road go through there.
Really?
So that is hills. I mean, there's nothing but hills out through there.
Yeah.
But they got I've been out of them a couple of times. They got a nice highway.
Yeah. So that would have been the last thing you would have expected, really.
Well, the last thing I was expecting, I'd probably they may be expecting Blacktop 23.
Maybe I'd be there with you on that. Maybe. So, do you have anything to say before the interview ends? You want to talk about Lucasville or anything?
No, I might give you a little bit of history if you want the school, since we passed that levy in '90.
Oh, yeah.
Well, started building buildings, and it passed by 96.5%. Started building the buildings. Well, they had the rights, and we just got the jelly there. But that was in '93 when we finally got in the buildings. Today they're 26 years old, and I have to say the students and the employees were taking well care of them. They're great.
Yes.
I've been in a couple, probably 6 or 8 years newer than this buildings are. Looks like they're about 50 years old. So.
Carl, can you talk about some of our other real friends of education throughout the years?
About what now?
Some of our other real friends of education throughout the years. You've been here so long, you've seen administration and teachers and all that come and go, but I know that you've been acquainted, even in your childhood, with people who've really made an impact on you as far as the schools go.
Well, you know, I feel sometimes not only my kids, they all have jobs and friends, and I'm still one of them. You know, we still have our weenie roast. Her mother's been dead 16 years, but we have our weenie roast. We have our family reunion. In fact, we had a family reunion Sunday. We have one on Saturday in June. We have one on Sunday in September, because some people can't make it in June. We had 50 people there at Jason's place Sunday. In September, we may have 150, because it's always larger on Sunday than it is on Saturday, because for some reason people are involved in so many things. But fortunately I can remember, my memory's still good enough, I can remember the very first time that I got involved in Little League Baseball. Of course, I was always involved in Little League Baseball. We had a civics club. You had to be 21 years old to join the civics club. Well, I was 19, so I got asked Jim Young if I could come to the civics club meeting and get the civics club to sponsor a little league teams. And he said, definitely. Well, and I told him what I had in mind. Start out with 4 teams, start out, and then go from there. Well, Joe McKinley, which was Wim's dad, he was the treasurer of the civics club, and when I got through, he said, I guess you know you just become a member of the civics club. Said, pay your dues. Now here I was 19, and the bylaw was 21, so I got involved with the civics club and started with the Little League. And of course, like I said, I played ball until I was 47 years old. I think I played ball with everybody in Southern County. Worked at the mill. And I worked all my life, and I still work. I go up there to Jason's, I'll mow 60 acres of grass a week. Never spent a night in the hospital. And I think, yes, my downfall was I lost my hearing.
Yeah.
And my hearing dropped, but otherwise I feel great. And I do what I want to do.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Now I got to go a while to catch my brother, because he was 96 and could read a newspaper without glasses. Had implants put in. That's Darren's grandpa.
Okay.
Had implants put in 94. Well, I wasn't that fortunate. I had mine put in about 8 years ago. That's the only thing I've ever had done, though, is implants in each eye, and it sure makes a difference.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, when I was growing up, you didn't go to the bank. Everybody steered you away from the bank, because we had depression in '32. Nobody trusted the banks. If you had any money accumulated, put it in property. Well, you didn't make no money, so you couldn't buy property. But it has been something. I guess I've enjoyed it all. And I'll be 39 years old again in September.
Wow. Thank you so much for telling us about your time in Lucasville. We really enjoy. I loved getting to hear all the stories and everything you had to say.
I can tell you a lot of them.
And thank you for all the time and commitment you put into Lucasville and
No
Valley.
problem. I had to be in Lucasville. I have a house in Lucasville. Jason built a pole barn up where he lives, and then put a 2-bedroom apartment. And so I've been up there about 5 years. I spend my night up there, my days in Lucasville. But my whole family, all my kids live on that road except one daughter, and she lives over here in Blankenridge Edition, and she's a coordinator for juvenile court in Portsmouth. And she's the only one of my kids that went to college. And she's getting ready to retire after 34 years. So she's going to go to work for her son-in-law, and I don't know how that'll work out.
We'll see then. Well, thank you so much again.
All right.